Jesus was a man who was not like any other. He preached about judgment and a kingdom soon to come. Oh, the people had never heard words like these. He stirred up the scribes and the Pharisees. So they began to plot against God's one and only Son. They led him before the courts and the halls of Pilate. In a trial they mocked and condemned this righteous man. Pilate listened to the crowd and he knew they lied, but when he heard the people cry, "Crucify," he tried, but he couldn't wash the blood from his guilty hands. Jesus died on a lonely hill they called Mount Calvary. They laid him in a tomb and a stone sealed him inside. But 3 days later, when the women came, shocked and excited, when they reached his grave, they ran back to town and everybody heard him cry. Good news from Jerusalem, a cross on a hill where the debt was paid, an empty tomb where his body lay, a small upper room where they saw he was glorified. Good news from Jerusalem, he's alive, he's alive, he's alive. Good news from Jerusalem, he's alive, he's alive, he's alive.
WWGM, Alamo, Jackson, Dyersburg. Online at gracebroadcasting.com. Good News 93.1.
Here's the way to feel better, and the best way to look good too. Come and get in shape with us. It's the best thing that you can do. Health and fitness for our generation. Boomers Executive Fitness.
It's time for It's Your Health on Good News 93.1. It's Your Health is presented by Boomers Executive Fitness and Physicians Quality Care on Pleasant Plains Extended in Jackson with your host, Dr. Peter Gardner and Dr. Clifford Gerard. And now, It's Your Health.
Health and fitness for our generation. Boomers Executive Fitness.
Well, welcome into It's Your Health. I'm Brad McCoy. You're, I guess I'm the producer of this show, because I sit here and push all the buttons. Dr. Clifford Gerard is in the studio this morning. Dr. Peter Gardner not here today. So, Dr. Gerard, it's just me and you, my friend.
Well, we'll do the best we can here. not having all the talent that Dr. Gardner does, I just have to be the play-by-play man. You know, he's the color guy.
Well, y'all both do an excellent job, and I know we get a lot of comments about It's Your Health and folks tuning in to listen. Real quickly, want to let everyone know that this program is brought to you by Boomers Executive Fitness, part of Physicians Quality Care. They're on Pleasant Plains Extended in Jackson. Boomers is a great place if you're looking to get fit, looking to start working out, taking care of your body a little bit better. I would highly suggest going by there and taking a tour and checking out Boomers and seeing all the equipment and how they can work with you and develop a program for you to lose weight and to get in shape. And one of the best things about it, Dr. Gerard, is they have physicians just yards away from Boomers.
That's true, and a lot of folks are regular patients there, mostly, just for maintenance.
That's right.
Just like when they go there for the exercise, that's maintenance as well.
Exactly. So check out Boomers Executive Fitness and, of course, Physicians Quality Care, open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. That's when they're open. Real easy for you. Also, the new facility in Milan, I understand, is doing very well, right in front of Lowe's and Walmart. And just a great addition to the PQC family, the facility in Milan. Have you been over there, Dr. Gerard?
I visited one time just to check it out, right? It's very nice. Anything that's new is always, attractive. And they've got it down to a fine science as to how to make things flow through there with ease.
Yeah. And a great children's area in both facilities, but especially the one in Milan. They really, blew it out on making the children's playroom. It's like 3 stories tall. I mean, the kids just going to love going there.
I don't know whether Jimmy does that himself or he has some consultants. I don't know.
Well, I know they went to the City Museum in St. Louis. Have you ever been there?
No.
Oh man, it's a great place. I mean, you talk about all different types of interactive things for kids and adults to do there at the City Museum in St. Louis. And I think because Peter and Jimmy actually went up there, and I think they got a few ideas from the City Museum in St. Louis, which I know a lot of people from this area have been there because a lot of folks go up to see the Cardinals. And if you haven't been to the City Museum, I'll just give them a plug. If you go to St. Louis, the City Museum is a place you really need to check out. So,
yeah, well, I guess when I used to visit there, it was before the City Museum, and only the Busch Stadium was the only place I got to see.
Right, I got you. So are you a Cardinal fan?
Well, I used to be a long time ago. Yeah, I still am to some degree.
Yeah, you're just not much of a baseball fan, though, right?
Well, it's number 3, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So maybe sometimes number 4. I don't know.
Well, what would jump above it in number 3?
Number 3?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it would be horse-related.
Okay, I got you.
Events.
So football, basketball, and then either horse-related events or baseball.
Right.
At number 3. All right. That's your pecking order, right?
That's true. Yeah, well, this is one of my favorite times of the year because of the new football season coming in, and you like to think about it, speculate, and see what the experts have to say, and then follow through and see if they're right.
Well, you're the expert on all things Vanderbilt football. So how's Vanderbilt going to shape up this year?
Well, everything sounds good. They got more depth, I think, than they've had maybe ever. You know, and they've got some smart guys playing for them.
Right. Absolutely. Got to be smart to go to Vandy. Well, I mean, you went there, right?
That's true, but I think it's probably have to be smarter these days than when I went there.
Well, give me your take real quickly on Tennessee. How do you think the Vols are going to wind up this year?
Well, I tell you what, I have to go with what Johnny Majors had to say in the paper.
Yeah.
Because Johnny Major and I are about the same age. He's just a year or two older than me. But anyway, I got to know him back in college days.
Okay, great.
And he was a nice guy.
Yeah.
They came down to play Vanderbilt, and after the game, they stayed around on campus, and he came down to the fraternity house where I was, and he was a really nice guy.
Cool. Yeah, he made the statement yesterday that he thought Butch Jones was the best coach the Vols have had in the last 10 years, which includes Philip Fulmer.
That's right.
Yeah,
I had to do a little arithmetic there, and I came to that same conclusion.
Yeah, absolutely. Fulmer's only been gone 5 years. So he's basically saying the last 5 years that Fulmer was there, that Butch Jones is a better coach than Fulmer was.
Well, you have to assume that that's what he meant.
Of course, he and Fulmer have they haven't e-hauled too well either, because he's always felt that Fulmer kind of took his job away from him back when he was sick.
Well, I guess so. I don't really have a whole lot of strong feelings or recollection about that. But
right.
I'm sure the folks who favor the Big Orange do.
Oh, absolutely. All right, we're going to talk about health, Dr. Gerard. Dr. Clifford Gerard here is a cardiologist. And how often do you have an opportunity to just pick up the phone and speak to a cardiologist? If you have a question, 663-2327 is the phone number, 663-2327. If you have a health question, especially a cardiac cardio question, Dr. Clifford Gerard is in the studio, and that's what we're here to do. We're talking about It's Your Health. So give us a call, 663-2327. Again, Dr. Peter Gardner is out today. And I know in his absence, Dr. Gerard always has some interesting information from the cardio world. So, Dr. Gerard, what do you got for us?
Well, I appreciate those kind words there. Of course, my forte is not what's going on presently in cardiology, although it's very active and it's always ongoing. But it takes a while for these things to kind of come down the pike, and get established and practiced. But I do know what happened in the past 40 years or so. Exactly. And there's been a lot of things that have happened. I've seen a lot of things be considered one way at that time, and then subsequently just the reverse.
I got
so
you.
far as the outcomes and treatment expectations.
And I think, Dr. Gerard, we do have a phone caller. Hey, good morning, caller. You're on the air with Dr. Clifford Gerard.
Just a moment. Let me turn my radio down.
Okay, thank you very much.
I was in the hospital emergency, and they diagnosed me with AFib. And they put me on this DILTIAZEM, 120 milligrams twice a day. And I've been taking that now for probably about 5 months, I guess. No, wait a minute. The original recipe prescription was 5/24/13. So I'm wondering, and I've not had any more problems with that.
Ma'am, let me interrupt you
I'm
here.
Patient for the rest of my life.
We didn't quite pick up what you said the initial problem was here.
AFib. They diagnosed me with AFib.
All right.
And this medicine I've read up on it says it's for high blood pressure. I have never had high blood pressure, only this one incident.
All right. Well, I need to ask you, are you...
Rapid heart rate, irregular heart rate.
All right, ma'am. Are you still in atrial fibrillation? Is it a chronic problem?
I don't know if I am or not. That's it. I do not have a cardiologist. I have a vascular doctor, but I don't have a cardiologist.
All right, ma'am. Is your heart still irregular, or has it?
Well, when I take it with my blood pressure machine, it doesn't show it's irregular.
Okay, so there's a chance that it has come back into normal rhythm. Okay, and if that's the case, then that's good. The medicine.
I need to be seen by a cardiologist rather than a vascular.
Well, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, man, but you need to be seen by somebody who knows how to treat this rhythm problem, because it is a very dynamic type problem. It can present one way one time and another way the next time, and you need to be on the correct medication because it can be improved. Now, the one that you're on is primarily for two things. One is high blood pressure, which maybe you do or you don't have, but the other, it controls the conduction of the abnormal impulses and keeps the heart rate at a more...
They did a test in the hospital that says there's nothing electrically wrong with my heart.
Okay, well, that means then that maybe this medicine is helping to maintain the regular rhythm. But it is a useful medication for the treatment.
Yes, I understand that.
For the treatment of atrial fibrillation.
Okay, so in your opinion, I do need to see a cardiologist.
I would say that's exactly right. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate your info.
You're very welcome. Thank you for calling. We appreciate it. Great call there, and good answer, Dr. Clifford Gerard. And caller, I will... 984-8400. 984-8400. That is the phone number to Physicians Quality Care. And if you would like to see Dr. Clifford Gerard, just call there, make an appointment, and talk to his secretary, and they can you can come see Dr. Gerard, the cardiologist.
Well, atrial fibrillation is probably the most common arrhythmia we have to deal with, particularly in middle-aged people. And it's got so many different aspects to it that you really have to kind of approach it with a format as to what medicine to use, see how that works, and if your initial choice doesn't work, try something else. And also whether or not you convert it back to a normal rhythm, and also whether or not it tends to come and go, because this particular arrhythmia is frequently prone to development of clots inside the heart, involving the tissue that is not contracting normally but is fibrillating, so that the blood just sort of stagnates in the left atria. And that being the case, it can settle out and form a clot, and then the clot can, dislodge.
Sure.
And then, of course, that is a dangerous situation.
Absolutely. What are some of the symptoms when people have this? What are some of the things that they're feeling?
Well, they feel an irregular heartbeat. You can probably determine when something's wrong more than you can when something's right, but it's just slow.
Right.
And then sometimes, and then also it can go too fast. But the main thing is that it is irregular. And if it is irregular, the timing of the heart contraction is thrown off, so that sometimes the heartbeat is stronger than it is at the other times.
Mm-hmm. We have another call.
Good.
All right. Hey, good morning. You're on the air with Dr. Clifford Gerard.
Hey, I was just calling to find out some information.
Okay. All right. Information about?
Oh, well, I thought this number was actually for a business directory.
It is. This is we're having problems with our studio number, and we're having to use our regular number for our on-air number. But if you can hang on, I'll let somebody help you, okay?
Okay.
All right. Terrific. All right. Sorry about that. That's when we're having to use our office number as our studio number here. So if someone out front is listening, pick up that line, please, and help this gentleman out. It's live radio. Don't you love it, Doc?
That's right.
Just take care of business here on the air.
I'm afraid I can't help him much, but that's all right.
Now, we were talking about some of the symptoms that people are going to will feel when they have this irregular heartbeat. Because, see, I guess it's kind of hard for me to know what irregular feels like, because evidently I've never had one.
Right. Well, there's the timing between the heartbeats is variable. Mm-hmm. And so, therefore, sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's faster. And when it's longer, it allows the heart to fill up with more blood. And when it's slow, when it's faster,
right,
it fills up with less blood. Mm-hmm. So the quality of the heartbeat varies. And therefore, you're able to detect that.
Sure.
Okay. Well, it's not really the best thing for your overall cardiovascular function.
I understand.
And it can go too fast and you can be in trouble, or it can go too slow and you'd be in trouble.
I guess if it's going too slow, are you going to kind of feel lethargic a little bit, maybe?
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it may even go slow enough to where you may, become faint, and you may lose consciousness.
Oh, really? Okay.
That can happen, right?
Wow. So you would suggest definitely if someone is feeling these symptoms, they need to get to a cardiologist pretty quick.
As we said before, that the risks are too fast or too slow. Now, whichever it is, it can be helped.
Sure.
Okay. If it's going too slowly, then you need to increase the pace of the heart.
Right.
And so that's an indication for using a pacemaker, a permanent transvenous pacemaker.
Okay. All right.
And those things have been around now for a long time, at least 40 years.
Yeah. My dad had one. He did. He had a pacemaker for a while.
And with each year, those things have improved gradually, and over that period of time. And now they're a exquisite piece of machinery that can be taught, can be programmed and
right,
from the outside, and many things being done to vary whatever you need done.
I've always heard, Doc, maybe you can solve or verify or throw this down, that I've always heard that people who have a pacemaker did not need to operate a microwave oven.
Well, that used to be the case.
Okay.
And I guess it still is for those who have older pacemakers. But, of course, they have to know that. But the current product, has got built-in protective mechanisms where this is not a problem.
It's not a problem. So, like the microwave waves, I guess, would interfere with the pacemaker?
Presumably that's what happens.
What happens, right. Okay, all right.
I can't tell you, specifically, but that's what's supposed to happen.
I got you. All right, if you have a question for Dr. Clifford Gerard, 663-2327, 663-2327. Also want to remind everyone, too, Dr. Gerard, if you'll look up in that camera right there and wave, we're streaming over the internet with audio and video today.
Really?
So, so they could go to our website, gracebroadcasting.com, and click the link there. And if folks are wondering what Dr. Clifford Gerard looks like, there you go. Just log on to gracebroadcasting.com.
And I'm glad to be sure I look good every day. At least I know I have clean clothes.
Yes, always. Dr. Gerard dresses impeccable, I will say. Always fashionable.
But I am labeled, and my timing is easy to tell as compared to my cohort here, who is not here today,
Right, yep.
But who has an extreme variability sometimes in his exquisite dress.
He looks like he walked off GQ magazine. most of
That's
the
right.
time. I mean, he really does.
And he's got the physique to go with it.
That's
so
absolutely, yeah. I can't wear stuff like he does.
that's right.
All right, 663-2327. 663-2327. Got about 10 minutes left in the program, Doc.
Well, so far so good here. Would entertain another question if you like. If not, we'll pick up and go somewhere else.
All right. Well, what you got for us?
Well, since we're talking about pacemakers, we might as well just elaborate on
Sure.
that just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, this lady talked about atrial fibrillation. And, of course, one of the problems with that is the heart can go too slow. All right? And therefore, you can insert a pacemaker and keep the heart from beating too slow. And if that heart picks up and sometimes happens to go too fast,
Right.
then the pacemaker can, decipher that the heart is going too fast and not pace. So that's what you call a demand pacemaker. It's there when you need it. If you don't need it, it turns off.
Yeah, because I was wondering about that. Because what about like when you're exercising, or jogging a little bit, and the heart rate increases, and you have a pacemaker, so it'll cut off.
There's this preset interval.
Yeah.
And if the interval is exceeded, then it will pace. If it's not, then it will hesitate
I understand.
and wait until the next interval.
Okay. So if you're treating someone who has a slow heartbeat with a pacemaker, when it gets to a certain point of beats per minute too slow, then it'll kick in and get it back regulated.
That's correct.
Yeah.
He said at a minimum, it won't get below that
Right. Exactly.
preset rate.
Right. Like if you had it set to do 50 beats per minute, then once it got down to 49 beats per minute, the pacemaker's going to kick
That's
up.
exactly right.
Right. Okay. All right.
But usually you have it, it's a little faster than that, like a minimum of 70.
Okay. All right. Now, on the other hand, someone is their heartbeat is too fast, and they've got a pacemaker to slow it down. Right? Is that correct?
Oh, no. The pacemaker doesn't do anything to slow it down.
Oh, okay. So the pacemaker is only for those who have
Only for the slow part.
slow. Okay, I understand.
But it senses when it gets faster than that. And so it won't pace and interfere with the intrinsic electrical activity
I got you.
that's going on.
What about the person who experiences the faster heart rate?
All right, well, then the way to treat that is with the medications.
Okay.
And that's what we need to determine about this lady that called in, whether she still has atrial fibrillation, whether it still sometimes goes too fast. And then that's when you use the pharmacology approach here.
I got you. And it could be a lot like with blood pressure. You may have to do some experimenting with some different types of
Exactly.
drugs to see which one is actually going to work for you the best, right?
That's right.
Okay. All right.
And there are two or three to we can pick from, that if one doesn't work, maybe the other one will. And sometimes they work, together.
Right. I got you.
And then, of course, if we continue to have a problem, then you can go in and can't handle it, with drugs. Then we can go in and consider, ablation procedures. And just ablate the abnormal conducting tissue, and then you're dependent on a pacemaker.
Right. I got you. Okay. All right.
So when you have atrial fibrillation, there's a whole myriad of presentations.
Right. Okay.
And you have to sort it out and know which way to go. And you may try one for a while and then have to change to another.
And that's where the cardiologist comes into play, where you really need to see a specialist that has studied this stuff and knows how this works.
Right. It used to be more in the realm of, general cardiology, but now there's specialists involved that are really just arrhythmia specialists.
Oh, really?
And there are enough problems going on to where, they can practice just exclusively arrhythmia detection and appropriate treatment.
I got you. So you say the pacemaker's been around for like 40 years or so? I
That's
guess.
right.
Wow. Which now you think of 40 years ago was in the 70s.
That's right.
It
was actually the 68 or something of that nature.
Right.
So, right, it's been around a long time.
And like you said, you've seen them develop over the years.
Yeah, they were a lot easier to deal with on the front end because all it did was just pace. You couldn't slow it down. You couldn't speed it up. You just put it in, turn it on, and man, that's it. You're stuck with it.
Yeah, that's the heartbeat you're going to have?
That's right.
Okay.
If there was some competition, that's too bad. It's going to fire anyway, But that was probably better than not having anything.
Well, sure.
Right. And so, at the end of whatever came first, the pacemaker failing or 2 years, you just take it out, put another one in, just like you would change a Rayovac battery from a flashlight.
Really? Okay.
That's the way it was on the initial.
On the initial, yeah. So so you had to swap them out every couple of years.
That's right.
Okay.
And you do it whether it was working or not working. If it wasn't working, you'd do it earlier. But if it was working, you'd change it out anyway. Now, that was on the rear front end.
Right. How long do they last now?
Oh, it's variable. I guess it depends on how much they are used, but that's predictable. With the ability they have now to check it out with computers and such, it's predictable how long it will last.
Right, because they can hook you up to a computer and put a pacemaker in there and see how everything's working.
Right, it's a complex little device, and of course on the front end, it was a whole lot bigger than it is now. It's fairly small now. That is the pacemaker part.
Right.
There's some other things that can that a pacemaker generator can do. It can but that requires more machinery, more circuitry. Like a defibrillator built into the pacemaker, which shocks an abnormal rhythm.
That's what my dad had.
Right.
Because I remember an episode he had one time. It's like it would shock. It's a volt, right? I mean, he said it. He definitely knew when it kicked in.
Right. Well, there's certain circumstances where that's the only thing that can save your life if you have this arrhythmia.
Right. Okay.
Come on you, which is usually a ventricular arrhythmia problem.
Have you heard of people that say that? About the defibrillator in the pacemaker when it would shock?
They would definitely know. That that it was happening.
Right.
I don't think it was quite as noticeable as if you had external shock, with the paddles on front and back.
Right, yeah. My dad said one time it almost knocked him down to his knees,
Right, but you'd rather do that than the alternative.
Than knock down to your knees and not get back up.
Right.
Absolutely.
So at first it was hard to realize that was indicated, but they've proven that it is. So if you need it, get it.
How many folks do you see that really that have a pacemaker? I mean, is it quite common? Or is it?
Well, I think in the United States there are about 250,000 people that have one.
Okay.
So that's we can kind of get the ratio about to the rest of the population.
Right.
I can't quite do that in my head right now.
Well, I thought you went to Vanderbilt.
Well, I did, but this has happened since I was there.
I'm just messing with you.
Okay.
I just want you to do just some simple arithmetic.
I can when it comes to one digit.
I'm with you. But after that, I got to take the shoes off. Once I get over 10, I got to take my shoes off.
And when you get to decimals and fractions and percentage.
Absolutely. All right, Doc, we've got 2 minutes left in the program, so the final 2 minutes is yours.
Okay. Well, just like with cardiac medication, people worry about having a pacemaker, but if you need a pacemaker, don't worry, you be happy.
Right.
Because it's going to make things better for you. Mm-hmm. Right, it's going to prevent untoward problems from happening. And
having a pacemaker, Doc, are there any, as far as physical limitations that a person would have, with a pacemaker?
Well, not usually, unless it's something that's directly involved with the pacemaker site. Mm-hmm. I guess like carrying a golf bag or something across your shoulder.
Right. Now, where do they usually implant those?
They usually implant it to the left side of the upper chest, right underneath the clavicle.
Okay.
For the most part.
Right.
It can be the exact same thing on the opposite side.
Okay. But I guess they try to get it as close to the heart as they can.
Well, it all depends on how you put the lead in. Mm-hmm. The lead that goes from the pacemaker pulse generator down to the right ventricular chamber.
Right. So you basically have a wire that comes from the pacemaker that goes down into the heart, I guess, right?
It's not just a naked wire. It's covered with insulation.
Well, sure. Yeah.
And it can be manipulated.
Right. I got you. Okay.
Yeah. I used to enjoy doing that. If it's just kind of a fun thing to do. It was easy, clean cut, and you could put it in there and preform it, manipulate it, put it in the right place, and then take the voltage measurements and see if you were in a good place or not.
Right.
So it was kind of fun
Yeah,
to do.
I got you.
And it didn't hurt anybody usually.
Right. Did you do it just a local anesthesia, or did the person have to go to sleep?
Oh, it was just local anesthesia.
Okay. All right. Okay. So how do you get this thing down to the heart without opening up the heart?
Well,
I mean, or
you make an entrance into the subclavian vein with the pacemaker lead.
Oh, and the vein goes into the heart.
And
I got you.
The vein comes across into the right atrium, across the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. And that's where it's used. One of the leads is used placed.
I got you. Wow, interesting information this morning. Wow, and it's hard to believe our 30 minutes is up.
Well, I know it. We got started here, and there we were.
And there we were, and there we go. Always good to be with you, Dr. Gerard.
Thank you, sir. I enjoy it too.
I do too. And tune in next week. We'll have another edition of It's Your Health right here on Good News 93.1.
Here's the way to feel better and the best way to look good too. Come and get in shape with us. It's the best thing that you can do. Health and fitness for our generation. Boomers Executive Fitness.
You've been listening to It's Your Health with your host, Dr. Peter Gardner and Dr. Clifford Gerard, presented by Boomers Executive Fitness and Physicians Quality Care in Jackson. Tune in next Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock for It's Your Health, right here on Good News 93.1.
Health and fitness for our generation. Boomers Executive Fitness.
BR, built on reputation. BR Supply, BR Supply. Plumbing to electric, we've got what you need. Complete bathroom fit.